everyone, welcome back to Intentional Youth Ministry. I hope you're doing well. Hey, I want to talk today a little bit about a question about how you recruit and how you classify, I guess, your leaders and your volunteers. And so my question simply to you today is this. When it comes to your team around you, the people who are doing ministry with you, your volunteers, right? The people who are doing it just because they have a heart to do it and they're not getting a paycheck. So do you call your team your volunteers or do you call them your leaders? Now listen, this maybe seems like it's a little bit like play on words here or something, right? What I'm getting at is this: I understand that anybody on your student leader or your leadership team helping you do student ministry, technically, most likely in your scenario, most of them are all volunteers, right? Because they're not getting paid. But what I simply mean is this: I'm talking about making a distinct differentiation between a volunteer and between a leader. For me, from day one, I never communicated that I wanted volunteers. And here's why I say that. To me, to communicate that I need volunteers was always kind of communicating that, hey, I'm drowning here and I just need people, warm bodies in the room who are just willing to be here. Now, I get that actually might be your scenario because it was for me. There were definitely seasons where I'm like, man, I just need some people, like some people here who can help me. So I get that. That actually might be the way you feel. But what I did, instead of saying, hey, I need volunteers, I started communicating that I don't need volunteers, but I'm always looking for leaders who have a heart to work with young people. Distinct difference. What that does is from the beginning and right out of the gate, you're setting a tone that, hey, I don't just need a warm body in the room. I'm not just looking for somebody to come and check some kids into service or to help me do functional, task-driven things in the context of our youth ministry. But what I'm really looking for when it comes to adults, and now I'm specifically talking about adults here, is I want leaders. I want adults who have a heart and a passion to work with young people. I want adults who want to be there, who want to engage with students, who want to connect with students. And so I've learned, I guess, really over the years that shift in how I communicate, I need volunteers versus I'm looking for leaders who have a heart for young people, has set a tone for how my leadership team has been in student ministry. And what I will say is this: while maybe I've never been the greatest recruiter of new leaders on my team, what I think I have been pretty good about is retaining leaders. And can I just tell you that when you're good at retaining leaders, when you, in other words, have a team that feel valuable, that feel like they own some of the ministry, that literally feel like they're a part of what you're doing and have a passion to work in your ministry area, automatically growth will start to happen because you're doing such a good job of taking care of your team of leaders. I don't want to go too far into that because in the future episodes coming up here soon, I'm going to be talking a bit about empowerment and how to take care of your leaders. But what I will say is this: I would encourage you to just maybe think about how you communicate what you need. I'll tell you guys this is a cool story. I'll tell you real quick. A few years ago, several years ago actually, in youth ministry, I had this new family that started coming to our church, and they had two daughters in our ministry. And I'll never forget the dad. Every weekend he would drop his daughters off at our service, and he would say, "Hey, listen, I want to talk with you about serving in youth ministry here." And I'd be like, "Hey, man, that's great. Hit me up. Like, I'd love to connect with you. I'd love to talk. Let's do it." And this went on and on. Every couple of weeks we'd have this conversation. About 6 months into this gentleman being at our church and this new family, I ran into him at one of our kind of new member classes. And we were there one night and he says, "Hey man, I am so sorry. I know I keep telling you that I want to get involved and serve in youth ministry and I just haven't done it yet." And I said, "No, that's cool, man. That's really cool." And I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, why do you want to serve?" And he said, "Well, I've always served in the past churches we've been at, and my daughters are in there. So I was going to serve." And I said, "Cool." I said, "Let me ask you a question." I said, "What are you passionate about?" And he kind of stopped and took a step back and he goes, "Well, man, I really love worship ministry and I play the bass and I've actually just auditioned and I made the team. So I've actually been playing bass with the worship team for a few weeks. Man, I'm loving that." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, man, then go do that. Go focus on the worship ministry." And he kind of looked confused a little bit and he walked away. Several minutes later, he comes back and he says, "Listen, I got to tell you," he's like, "I've been in church a long time, various churches." He goes, "And I've never one time had a pastor tell me to go serve somewhere else." And then he said, "Thank you. Thank you, because this is what this guy was passionate about. What would happen in your church if every one of your ministry leaders, if every one of your pastors, what if you all just, when you sat down with somebody and you asked the question, hey, not can you come help me, but you said, hey, what are you passionate about? And when you sit down maybe with that couple that you think is, that you want to serve in youth ministry, and they said, oh, wait, it sounds like you're really passionate about kids ministry. What if you went and got them connected in your kids ministry? What if your kids pastor was doing the same thing? Instead of just recruiting all the time, we actually help people get connected in where they're passionate about being. And I promise you, if we do that, you will have the best leadership team that you could possibly have, because we're now connecting people with their passion and with what they feel called to do. But I just want to encourage you with this final thought, right? Is make sure that when you're building your adult leadership team, that you're careful about how you communicate. Are you communicating that you're just looking for warm bodies, just people to come and volunteer because you need help? Or are you communicating that you're looking for leaders who have a heart for the next generation? Big difference. Take care. We'll see you guys next time.